All right. So Jacqueline is up, and um, we want to go through all of her stuff.
Mhm.
And she's anywhere from 28 to 30 years of age. She has no children. She was labor trafficked for over 14 years. She is currently free. She did complete high school. I believe she's the only cohort member who completed all of her education. Her dream was, to become a fashion designer, but
Mhm.
we actually, I think, I don't know what's going to happen of that dream, but I do know that we sent her to school, um,
Mhm.
for secretarial school, and actually Seraphin and her husband Atali did that and paid for that for her, and she is now like an administrative assistant and or secretary for Mercy Seed Outreach.
Okay.
She also, um, I believe Jacqueline was the one who was had a lot of medical issues, right?
Yep.
And who we fundraised for. And just to update you, she's doing very, very well.
Good.
She hasn't been in pain or anything like that since starting. It's been, I don't know, has it been about 3 months, maybe
Yeah, she
three?
started end of March, I believe. So.
And she should be ready to go for another like sonogram to see what's
Yep.
going on. So let me check with Seraphin on that. Um, Jacqueline's halfway mark with scan, and see how she's doing.
Okay.
I do know that she has to buy the medicine, or whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
homeopathic medicines, as she moves forward. So she
Right.
has more to buy. Um, so, and let me see what other the questions were. Okay, so she was being trafficked at when she started. She is now free. She's single. I don't know if she has a phone or not. Years trafficked was 14. No children, and we have actually supported her medically, um, and we've also supported her academically with. Let me add that too. Supported academically um, via a trade,
Mhm.
um, and she finished that. Okay. All right. So then, where are your notes on her?
And for her medication and her ultrasound and all of that, they have all of the money for that, right?
Yes. Yep.
I sent over all of it.
Yes. And I
Okay.
think I gave you, did I not send you what she had spent up to date?
I'm not sure.
Okay. I have it listed. I have all
You
my
might have.
notes.
That was probably a bit ago, and then I forgot about it.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that they have all of the leftover money that we
Yeah.
have.
Yeah. We gave her 340. She spent 60 for 3 months, or up to 3 months of medicine. We gave her $20 for ecography. She'll need another 60 for the next 3 months, another 20, and then another 20. She'll have three ecographies,
Mm-hmm.
which will leave, I believe, about $160 left.
Okay.
Um, so we'll go from there. We'll see and if she has to send it back, Seraphin said she will send your monies back.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fine. I'm fine with
or
them holding on to it too.
Yeah. So that's where that stands. But if I did not send you the stuff, let me know. I thought I
Okay.
did. I can check. Let me see. Um,
I'm sure you did. I just didn't really pay attention.
on medical receipts to Ronnie for Jacqueline. Okay. Okay. All right. So then where is your, maybe this is it. There we go. Okay. I thought I had opened it, but apparently I didn't. Okay. All right. So she started out pretty well,
Mm-hmm.
with a 111. Let's see how high her self-actualization reality testing was early on. I'm glad to see there's better balance with flexibility and stress tolerance. Yeah, she did. When she started, she was lagging behind in her self-regard, independence,
Mm-hmm.
problem solving, impulse control, flexibility, those sort of things. And her happiness score was really, it was pretty low at 89. I won't say it was pretty low, but low in relation to all her other scores.
Right,
Um,
comparatively.
yeah, but again, it kind of made sense because she's right there when it comes to, if I compare self-regard,
Mm-hmm.
independence, problem solving, flexibility, happiness. I think those are almost like the stressors of life,
Mm-hmm.
and happiness will kind of fluctuate depending on how you feel about yourself, whether you respect yourself, um, and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think we're fine. She has more than enough money for her medications. We're not going to give her any more. If for some reason she decides she wants to have have anything removed, like surgically,
Mm-hmm.
she knows that all she'll have is whatever is left after this, after what she does with the medications from the monks,
Mm-hmm.
and that she will have to supply the rest of the monies. So we did have that
Okay.
conversation with her, and so I imagine she's going to go through about 6 months of this stuff
Mm-hmm.
with working with the monks. We'll have a total of three echographies.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll probably wait 3 to 6 months after to see if indeed everything has dissipated, or if it's coming back.
Right.
So we're probably about 9 months out, from knowing what she's going to do.
Okay.
Although, to be honest with you, she may in next month, we're assuming that everything is better, because she
Mm-hmm.
is not having any physical issues, pain, or anything.
Okay.
So we're assuming everything will be fine, but we'll see as time goes on.
All right. And her
Um,
ultimate goal is basically she wanted this to be like fertility sparing. She wants to have children.
yeah.
Well, she's been taking folate or have access to folate supplements.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Do we know if she has access to folate supplements or like prenatal vitamins?
Oh, they're very, very, very expensive. Um,
Yeah.
and Seraphin said that unless Jacqueline isn't even married, so unless they know that they want to start to have children, they won't
Right.
actually buy the supplements because they're way too cost prohibitive.
Okay.
Even Seraphin had issues financially in buying them. So
Okay.
and she's pregnant. So
Right.
um,
I mean, if those issues arise too, I think that's something really important. I'd be happy to look into funding because you should be taking them up to like 9 weeks, if not like 4 to 5 months before you even want to start to conceive.
mm-hmm,
And then you have to take it, obviously, like throughout your whole entire pregnancy.
right,
So, or at least, especially for the first 3 months.
yeah,
Um, so
yeah.
if there's any barriers to that, even with Seraphin now, with her pregnancy, like please let me know. I can see what I can do.
Yeah, and the other thing is that even though we could buy them, it's better to send her money because
Exactly, and
it's
just have her buy them there.
it's just crazy because of everything with COVID. Everything is basically shut down, so you can't even
Mm-hmm.
really send her anything, unfortunately. So all right, so let's see. Her outlook and perception have changed drastically, not only because of her health feeling better, but also because of um, the trade of school, the schooling that they,
Mm-hmm.
and she's also a part of Mercy Seat Outreach now. So
Right.
I think that has helped and that has kept her positive, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Seeing how far she has come, balance is amazing. Many of her sub-scales were within norm, however, very unbalanced. Yep, the jump that we see. It's huge. Yeah, she's like a great case history. However, she did come in strong at pre, you know,
Yep.
which is kind of amazing, isn't it? Because she was labor trafficked for 14 years. So
Right.
she was what, 28, did I say, when she came in? So she was like 14, but yet she finished high school. So she must have been allowed to finish high school while being trafficked, you know?
Right.
And because she finished high school, it might be also why maybe her scores are reflective as being on a higher level.
Right.
Yeah, it's been given to her. She's guidance, reflection. One of the things of why she didn't want to have her surgery, remember, was because of the cultural implication of that, which is still a barrier. You know, if you're a woman and you can't have children, it's frowned upon, which is,
Right.
you know, so maybe there's something in your videos or some kind of way you could enlighten the group about infertility. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something in there about infertility and
fibroids in general would be good to learn about and what causes them.
yeah, I mean, you know, that sort of thing, and maybe even proper gynecologic care.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just adding those in.
Mm-hmm.
It seems as though it's really been important for a couple of the members this past year. She has had more unique experience with taking the class, building her working skills. Yeah, she's actually been pretty. I mean, she's had it all. We've taken care of her medical issues. We've given her a vocation. We've asked her to join Mercy Seed Outreach. She's really had all of it. And
Right.
if she had had lower scores, I would say that would make a difference. However, I think it just allows. I don't know. I think it might have. Well, her independence is up. Her self-regard is up.
Her impulse control.
Her problem solving is up. Impulse control. Her flexibility. You know, and her level of happiness. I do believe that it definitely helped her level of happiness. And overall, if you switch to that chart with the physical health, she's up 10 points. If we add, you know, happiness as a subscale in, she's up 13 and a half.
Right.
Psychological, she's up 6.5. If you add the other two subscales, you know, she's up 9.5 points. Which is a lot considering she started out pretty strong, you know. So I do know that she is doing well, and I know Seraphin has told me she's doing well. Let's see. So you know, let's just look at the 5 composites overall. 98, 108, 113. You know, really, she's really not even in balance.
Right.
At pre, and she's not even in balance 120 at post.
Yeah, it's still that self-expression doesn't really fit. I feel like with the others.
Self-expression
and her stress management too.
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning, it was the stress, self-expression, and decision making. Well, really, her interpersonal scores are really leading the pack there, and really, perhaps, maybe it's her interpersonal that's just overly spiked. If you look at that and highlight that as being spiked, everything else is actually in balance. You know?
Yeah, herself. Yeah.
So it might be that she's an empath. Right? Let's see her empathy. You know, she's an empath. She probably does have mutually satisfying relationships. She probably knows what it is. even though she's single, she doesn't have any children. Maybe she has a really good, strong family unit,
Hmm.
and good. Maybe she's very faithful, and she has church. It looks like she has a lot of different relationships, whether they be personal, professional, maybe faith based. She's got a good circle of influence here. And it would be
Right.
what would be interesting is to see maybe what if Jacqueline's trust circle.
Yes.
I can't remember what it is, and I know I have a picture of it somewhere. But it would be interesting to revisit that to see is her interpersonal, because she's in a pretty solid position with a lot of different societal frameworks. You know what I mean? And she's having good
Yeah.
relationships. It looks like she's an empath, and it also looks like community is extremely important to her. Um,
Yeah.
but because these are spiking, and they're all in balance, her interpersonal composite, those three, they're in balance, right? If you look at self-expression at the end, post, they're in balance. Everything's in balance. The only thing that isn't is in her decision making, and that's because of her problem solving. And and then her optimism is a little out of whack, but that's okay.
Right.
So at the end, it looks like everything within the composites are pretty well balanced. However, her interpersonal composite is kind of like pushing everything forward, and everything else is kind of lagging behind.
Hmm.
And I want to say that, and she's not too much behind, so I don't even want to say that. It looks
I think
like
she's already also above the like what's the norm.
she can't
So I
even
think
go.
that's hard too.
She can't even go any higher. 132. I
Exactly.
mean that's it, right?
Right.
But what's interesting is at the end and post, it looks like she is on the same par level. She thinks of herself as much as she thinks of others,
Hmm.
which is really healthy. Um, Her self expression, her ability to express herself, is still a little behind those other two. She understands herself really well,
Right.
and she has a good sense of confidence. But she might just be more of an introvert, or she just might be, she might just be more on a quiet side.
Right.
Um, I don't know what the reason is for her to lag behind the self perception and interpersonal decision making. It's obvious that maybe it's because she doesn't feel comfortable solving problems. She doesn't have that how to, and maybe
Right.
that's what's bringing her self expression down, because if she can't make choices without asking others, for
Hmm.
their opinion, and their input. So maybe once we give her the proper skills for problem solving, even though she's at 107, which is really good, um, she's higher on the other composite scales, right? And
Hmm.
she's lagging behind a little bit um, of the others. So her self expression and her decision making and her stress. I mean, it's the same thing, right? Problem solving, stress tolerance, independence. We seem to be hitting that a lot,
Right.
which is kind of interesting. Um,
I think a lot of her stuff does, especially from the beginning. It starts with like she knows what she has to do, but she doesn't know how to get there.
mm-hmm.
But I think like this year has really given her that, and we see that in her composites really balancing out.
Yeah, and I think her optimism carried her, because her self regard was low in relation to her optimism at pre.
Yep.
Um, and and I know Seraphin has said that she's always had a positive attitude, whether she was truly happy or not. And it's nice to see her mid score is 120, right? So up 31 points. But it's nice that she maintained that at
Mhm.
post. So hopefully she'll continue to maintain that. And every time you maintain it, for another 6 months or a year, it's it's pretty well becomes part of your foundation or built within. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. And it's the same thing with her optimism, like seeing her optimism stay stable
Mm-hmm.
throughout the mid and post, I think just like also adds to the validity of the study, right? Because it shows that what her scores are truly a reflection of who she is and not necessarily the circumstances. Like it's about who she is in that moment after going through 6 months or a year of it.
To be honest with you, I'm not sure if a person's sense of positivity has anything to do with the program.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I hate to say that. I'd like to say that it's all because of the program, but I do believe that some people are born like they just are more positive. Do you ever notice some people are just so much more positive than others?
Right.
And I believe that your optimism can be learned, but I also believe that some people have a more sunny disposition.
No, yeah, I totally agree. And I think that's why her having it consistent really shows that the changes in the other
Mm-hmm.
composites and
Mm-hmm.
subscales are true changes.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that.
Right. Because I
Yeah.
agree. Like, I feel like, in a sense, your optimism and how you're going to view the world is how you're going to view the world. It can change a little bit here and there, but for the most part, it is what you make of it. So,
And isn't it amazing that she has this wonderful sense of optimism, even though she was labor trafficked for 14 years?
right.
Yet her happiness was lower. So it's
Mm-hmm.
nice to see that, she's at 120. She went up 31 points.
Right.
I mean, it's really, really amazing. Now, her stress tolerance fluctuated a little over the course of the program, and it actually went down a couple of points.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but, the problem solving went up. Her independence went up. It might mean that she just needs a little bit more time
Right.
to, trust and just maybe a little bit more time to just really um, put problem solving and her skill set and her abilities in these things into application. See what works, what doesn't. Get more familiar with it. I mean, we're looking at scores over 100, but yet in relation to some of the other composites, you want her to. You'd rather have them grow, increase rather
Mm-hmm.
than have the interpersonal and the self perception decrease. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
We want to try to get her self expression and decision making. It's really not that far off. It really is just the problem solving um, and the stress management there's just a few of those things. Let me look under the balancing EQi, and you'll
Yeah.
see problem solving, assertiveness. Yeah, mostly problem solving, independence, stress tolerance. The usual stuff that we're seeing. Um, yeah, I mean, it just once again really solidifies for me the importance of knowing how to problem solve. And if you do, it really gives you a burst, it really gives you a sense of confidence in yourself and in your decisions and choices. It also affects your level of stress, knowing that you can get from A to Z. It might take you time. You might need determination. You might need resiliency. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But with a positive attitude and knowing that you do have the strategies or the skills, even if you have to go through 15 or 20 of them, you know that something eventually will work. I think, I think it's so important.
Yeah, I agree. I also think like recognizing that her stress tolerance and her assertiveness might have gone down slightly, but also this is happening over a year, and I don't think we can expect anybody to hone all of these skills in 12 months. So
Yeah.
I think seeing her like 6 month post will be helpful, and then just seeing her continue on with the new cohort will be helpful.
Now, remember, at the time that she took this, she was starting to have issues again
Right.
physically, and it was really draining and stressing her out. She was in a lot of pain, and that might have
Mm-hmm.
caused that little fluctuation of 2 points. Which is really, when you think about it, pretty amazing that she maintained all of this through having a lot of pain, being very concerned. The cultural pressure of not having surgery. You
Right.
got to have a baby. You got to be married. All of those
Right.
things. And I think she did really, really well.
Yeah, I agree.
So, anything else on her?
Let me just look through. I don't think so, though. Nope, I think that's really it.
Okay.